and welcome to another episode of Unraveled with Marvi Sirmed. Tonight, we are focusing on the latest immigration policies introduced by the Trump administration earlier last week. We will talk about how they will impact millions of people, immigrants, professionals, and asylum seekers, particularly from South Asia. The US has long been a land of dreams for aspiring citizens, a beacon of opportunity for skilled workers, and a refuge for those fleeing persecution in their countries. But with these new immigration policies, the landscape is shifting dramatically. Who benefits, who loses, and what does this mean for immigrants, particularly the South Asians? Let's unravel this together. The headline immigration policy of the Trump administration's 2025 plan is the introduction of the Gold Card. Some say the Trump Gold Card, a new pathway to permanent US residency. But let's be clear, this is not for your average immigrant. This program requires a whopping $5 million investment in the US economy to obtain residency. Essentially, if you have millions to spare, you can buy your way into America. It's as simple as that. For South Asian immigrants, this means India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Sri Lanka's wealthy elites, business tycoons, corporate executives, and large-scale entrepreneurs. They are the ones who will benefit. But for the millions of skilled professionals, tech workers, and students who rely on employment-based visas like the H-1B and L-1, this program offers nothing. Moreover, this new policy eliminates the EB-5 investor visa, which previously allowed immigrants to secure a green card with an investment of as low as, well, $900,000 in some targeted employment areas. That lower, well, comparatively lower threshold made it accessible to a wider range of business owners, including those from South Asia. But with this drastic increase in required investment, the new Gold Card shuts the doors on all but the wealthiest. Reports from various media outlets suggest that the administration anticipates only a few hundred applications per year, raising serious doubts about whether the program will bring in enough capital to meaningfully impact the national deficit. The US is essentially betting on oligarchs and billionaires rather than hardworking professionals. So the message from this policy is clear. If you have $5 million, you're welcome. If you are a skilled worker, an entrepreneur without millions, or a refugee, America is no longer for you. While there haven't been direct restrictions on H-1B visas yet, past experience tells us that President Trump's policies tend to increase scrutiny, tighten visa renewals, and slow down processing. For South Asians, especially Indian, Pakistani, and Bangladeshi IT professionals, engineers, and doctors, this is a major concern. Over the past decade, these groups have been among the largest recipients of H-1B visas, filling critical roles in the US tech industry and health sector. But now they face higher barriers, longer wait times for visa approvals, and a more selective green card process that increasingly favors a points-based merit system. What's a point-based merit system? Well, this system for green cards is a structured immigration framework where applicants are awarded points based on specific skills, qualifications, and other attributes. The goals of this system is to prioritize immigrants who are considered economically beneficial to the US rather than those entering through family sponsorships or even on humanitarian grounds. This system is modeled after immigration policies in countries like Canada, Australia, and UK, where individuals are assessed on a range of merit-based criteria before being granted permanent residency. With the introduction of the gold card, it seems there is going to be an influx of filthy rich elites from all over the world, whether they are oligarchs, royal families, kleptocratic corrupt officials, or even the drug barons masquerading in the garb of normal rich people, overshadowing the merit-based H-1B and L-1 visa holders who are talented professionals in their fields. The impact is clear. For skilled immigrants, securing a long-term future in the US will be harder than ever. For asylum seekers, particularly Afghans fleeing persecution under the Taliban regime, the situation is even dire. President Trump's reduction in refugee admissions means that fewer Afghans will be granted asylum in the US. The expansion of detention centers, including a new Guantanamo migrant facility, it signals a shift towards detaining asylum seekers rather than granting them refuge. Even those who were brought to the US under humanitarian parole after the US withdrawal from Afghanistan may find their status in limbo with no clear path to permanent residency. For Afghan refugees, the dream of safety in America is fast slipping away. Instead of finding refuge, they may face deportation, long periods in detention, or legal limbo. Another major move by the administration is the plan for mass deportations, not just for criminal offenders, but for anyone overstaying their visa or lacking documentation. This directly impacts South Asians, particularly Afghans, Nepalis, Indians, Pakistanis, and Bangladeshis, who make up a significant portion of undocumented workers in service industries, small businesses, gig economy jobs in the US. Additionally, President Trump's new mandatory registration system will require all undocumented immigrants to register with the government or face heavy fines and possible imprisonment. What does this mean? Well, clearly, one, undocumented migrants will be forced to expose themselves to immigration enforcement, putting them at high risk of deportation. And two, families who have lived in the US for decades but lack legal status will now be forced to choose between registering and risking deportation or remaining in hiding. The result? A climate of fear, uncertainty, and instability for thousands of migrants in the US. Another seismic shift in immigration policy is President Trump's attempt to end birthright citizenship. Under Executive Order number 14160, children born in the US to non-citizen parents, including those on temporary visas or work permits or undocumented status, they will not automatically become US citizens. For South Asian families in the US, this is a major issue. Many professionals who enter the US on H-1B or L-1 visas will have to either leave their families in their home countries or risk deportation of their children if the process to obtain their green cards becomes too slow, too unresponsive, or put them in, legal limbo, as explained earlier. Now, these babies born on US soil will face all of this, including a very real threat of being deported, which is going to affect their education, their employment, and their overall security. These policies signal a harsher, more exclusive future for South Asians who have long looked to America as a land of opportunity. The US will no longer be the destination it once was for skilled professionals, asylum seekers, and hardworking immigrants because it is now prioritizing the ultra wealthy, shutting its doors to those who have historically fueled its industries, strengthened its economy, and enriched its cultural landscape. Skilled professionals will inevitably look elsewhere towards Canada, Europe, Australia, I don't know, wherever their talents and hard work are valued rather than obstructed by bureaucracy and financial elitism. If America closes its doors to innovation and talent, other nations will eagerly welcome them. And the US will suffer from a self inflicted brain drain. The US tech industry, once the pinnacle of global innovation, will struggle without the contributions of South Asian talent. If America continues to push away the very professionals who have propelled its technological advancements, it risks falling behind in the global race for innovation. While companies lose access to the diverse expertise that has long given them a competitive edge. Mass deportations and harsh immigration enforcement will create devastating humanitarian crises within South Asian communities in the US. Families will be torn apart. Undocumented workers, many of whom perform essential labor in industries that sustain everyday American life, will be forced into the shadows living in constant fear. The impact will be immediate, cruel, and irreversible, I'm afraid. This is the new reality of American immigration, a system that once embraced the determined and the hardworking is now favoring the wealthy and turning away the very people who helped build this country. This is not just a policy shift, it is a fundamental redefinition of who gets to call America home, which is unfortunate to say the least. What do you think, about all these policies, the immigration policies? How do you see them shaping the future of immigration, the economy, the global talent mobility? We want to hear from you. Join the conversation in the comments below. If you value independent media that challenges power and brings you stories mainstream outlets won't cover, support us by subscribing to New Wave Global and liking and sharing this episode of Unraveled. Let's ensure that these critical discussions reach as many people as possible. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Good night.